My girlfriend called me her princess. I'm 6'3", 240 pounds, covered in tattoos from my Marine Corps days. Everyone assumes I'm this tough guy who doesn't do feelings. My girlfriend Victoria started calling me her princess 3 months ago as a joke after I got emotional during the opening scene of Up. I pretended to hate it around our friends, rolling my eyes and telling her to knock it off, but secretly I loved it. Every time she said it when we were alone, something in my chest would loosen, like I could finally breathe. I'd never told anyone this, but after 2 deployments and watching 3 of my buddies come home in boxes, I'd spent the last 4 years convinced that being vulnerable made you weak, that caring about anything too much was dangerous. Victoria never pushed. She'd just call me her princess while we watched TV, or whisper it when she thought I was asleep. Those 2 words made me feel more seen than any therapy session the VA ever offered. Last Tuesday, I came home early from my construction job. My boss sent everyone home at 2 p.m. because a cement delivery got delayed. I was actually excited because Victoria worked from home on Tuesdays, and I thought I'd surprise her with takeout from that Thai place she loves. I walked in quietly, planning to scare her as a joke. That's when I heard her voice coming from our bedroom. Of course I call him that. He eats it up. My hand froze on the doorknob. My stomach dropped so hard I thought I might throw up. He acts all tough, but the second I call him princess, his whole face lights up, she continued, laughing. It's honestly kind of pathetic how desperate he is for affection. I stood in that hallway for what felt like an hour, but was probably 30 seconds. Every muscle in my body locked up the same way they did during my first firefight in Kandahar. Flight or fight response. Except this time I couldn't do either. She kept talking. I mean, I love him, but sometimes I wonder if he'll ever actually deal with his issues instead of just waiting for me to fix him with pet names. I grabbed my keys off the counter and left. I didn't slam the door. I didn't make a sound. I just walked out like a ghost. My phone started blowing up within 10 minutes. 12 missed calls, 23 texts. I turned it off and drove to my buddy Josh's place. He's the only guy from my unit who made it back relatively okay. I told him everything. He listened, handed me a beer, and said, "Man, that's rough, but are you sure that's what she meant?" I spent that night on his couch, staring at the ceiling, replaying every moment Victoria had called me princess, trying to figure out which ones were real and which ones were her laughing at me behind my back. For 2 days, I ignored her completely. She showed up at Josh's place on Wednesday evening. He opened the door, took one look at her crying, and said, "He's in the garage," before disappearing back inside. Victoria found me working on my truck, which is what I do when I can't deal with my feelings. She looked terrible. Red eyes, no makeup, wearing my old Marines hoodie. "Please tell me what I did wrong," she said, her voice cracking. "Please, I can't fix it if you won't talk to me." I didn't look up from the engine. I came home early on Tuesday. She went completely still. "What? I heard you on the phone, talking about how pathetic I am." My hands were shaking, so I gripped the wrench harder. "About how desperate I am for affection. About how I'm too broken to fix myself." Oh my god. Her voice sounded strange, not defensive, horrified. "Oh my god, you only heard part of it." She pulled out her phone with trembling hands and opened her call history. "I was talking to my therapist, not a friend. My therapist, Dr. Fields, Tuesday at 2:15 p.m. Call her right now if you don't believe me." I finally looked at her. Tears were streaming down her face. The full sentence was, "Of course I call him that. He eats it up, and I love seeing him actually let his guard down for once." She was talking fast, desperate. I was asking her how to help you feel safe enough to talk about your trauma. She suggested couples therapy. She scrolled through her phone and showed me notes, pages of them, research about PTSD, articles about helping veterans process grief, a list of therapists who specialize in military trauma. The pathetic part, her voice broke. I said it's pathetic that society makes men feel like they can't be vulnerable, that you spent 26 years being told real men don't cry. I was crying when I said it because it breaks my heart. I stared at those notes, at the dates. She'd been researching this for 2 months, since the night I woke up screaming from a nightmare, and she held me while I sobbed about Murphy dying in my arms. Something inside me cracked wide open. All the walls I'd built since I was 17, all the armor I'd worn since basic training, it all just shattered. I ugly cried for the first time since boot camp. Not the silent tears I shed at Murphy's funeral. Real, gasping, shoulder-shaking sobs, the kind that make you feel like you're turning inside out. Victoria wrapped her arms around me and held on tight. She didn't say it's okay or you're safe now or any of that stuff people say when they're uncomfortable with someone else's pain. She just held me and whispered, "My princess," over and over until I could finally breathe again.